Okay guys, welcome back. Today we're going to have a quick talk about my planetary imaging gear, how I've over the years whittled it down to this group of things and why, and then maybe you can understand what you may need for your equipment. I'll put chapters down in the description, and also you'll see along the bottom of the timeline there when you move your mouse or you tap the screen, you'll be able to go to each bit. So we're going to talk about cameras, Barlows, and essentially ADCs, and that is a filter wheel for me, just a little manual one. But I'll talk about each group with a bit more depth along the way, so just move along, click to whichever bit you think is the best for you, and yeah, leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Let me know in the comments if I've missed anything, and yeah, let's get started. We'll go with cameras. I've got three cameras here. The One Neptune C II colour, excellent camera. Probably had this one for about 3 or 4 years. Essentially, it's the 462C chip, but it's called the 464 chip because it's twice the size of the sensor in the 462 and the 462 mono. So excellent camera, very good IR response, and 2.9 micron pixels. I really like this one, and it is compatible even if I was to shoot and do luminance with these other cameras and their design. These three cameras are all 2.9 micron pixels, and they all have a placement where they go into exactly the same spot. So if you were to shoot a luminance layer in IR, they're all interchangeable. So that's why this one's still here. Highly recommend, very, very low price. So the reason I initially got the Neptune C and its bigger chip size was because I was imaging with the Hubble Optics 16-inch Dob on my equatorial platform, and I was really struggling with the smaller chip on the 462C, which was my initial first camera, the QHY version, and it was an excellent camera. And a friend owns it now down in Tasmania and uses it when she does planetary. I sold it to her, and she's very happy with it too, although does not do as much planetary as me. So double the chip size just gave me a bit more freedom. As I was at 8,000 millimeters of focal length, I was really having to work hard to keep it within the field of view of the smaller, and basically it's probably the smallest chip size for a planetary imaging camera in the modern day. So that's how I came about this one. Essentially exactly the same IR response, exactly the same as the 462. But much bigger sensor. So really like it and kept hold of it. So the Mars M2 mono was the first high response mono camera in the modern age sort of thing. Let's talk about after 2022. I think it came out about a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe. So start of 2024, something like that, maybe end of 2023. Excellent response. All of your IR images, it really does make an obvious difference with your imaging, but again, very small chip size. And when I'm imaging with the 24 at and about 10,000 millimeters of focal length, it's very, very big. However, the frame rate on the 462C or the Mars M2 mono from Player One is huge. It's probably about 130 frames per second at full chip size. So as long as you can fit your planet on there and keep it guiding within that area, there is never any problem with frame rates. For example, the Uranus, the 585 chips at full sensor, they are a much bigger sensor, but they're only 44 frames a second. So 45, something around there. So on the 24, we start to struggle with the planet at opposition. They can be like 700 pixels, something like that, 800 pixels. So that was a consideration. I was going to get rid of this a couple of days ago, but I am using it now for the guiding chip on the 24-inch Hubble Optics Dob. If you've seen any of my guiding videos using PhD2, that's why this one's staying around, and that is the guide chip for the guide scope. So no filter on it, just shooting straight through. But if you are imaging under 6,000 millimeters, or you've got good tracking, 7,000 or 8,000 millimeters, no problem whatsoever. Another excellent camera, highly recommend, and another very cheap camera at the moment. And now we come to the Uranus M. So I consider this camera to be pretty much the best mono camera you can currently buy on the market for planetary. And I would also say that the color variant, so the 585C, so that all the manufacturers make using the Sony IMX 585 sensor, that is the best all-round camera you can buy. So if you're able to get a sale price of any of the big brands with the 585 sensor in a color chip, for most of you, you'll never need another camera, or you won't need another camera. You may want another camera. Excellent chip, huge in area, shoot 10,000 millimeters of focal length, no problem whatsoever, and still have room to move. So the Uranus M or the Uranus C are my top tips. If you can find a deal on them, they're still quite expensive, but they are expensive because they are the best. Barlows. Now you can see I've got 4 here. Now let's start with this one, the Tele Vue 3X Barlow. I did use this one years ago. It has not been in my rig for planetary for at least 3 years, I would say. While Tele Vue is a very highly respected brand, they're not the best. It's very, very good, but they're definitely not the best. I think with Tele Vue, you can, buying the brand, you can buy a guaranteed certain level of performance. By no means are they the best, but they are a guaranteed good value. One thing to remember with Barlow's is, just because it says 3X on the Barlow does not mean that that is exactly the magnification you are going to get. Now, your magnification is measured from the top of the Barlow. So if your sensor can sit there, that's about the magnification you are going to get out of the Barlow. Now, if you've got the QHY 585C or any of the QHY design, which are very flexible and can be moved because they're the lipstick type of camera design, they can be moved in and right out, so you can place them anywhere. The key is getting it so it's always placed in the same spot every time, or you know that you can get it placed back at the same spot every time. Like some days you could need to get it down further, but the further in the sensor goes into, and this is true across the board with all Barlows unless they are telecentric, but the further in the sensor goes in 95% of Barlows, the less magnification you get. And the further away the sensor is from the top of the Barlow, the more magnification you will get. And if you look to putting an ADC in your image train, just quickly let me unscrew this to give you an idea of what's going on. Now you can see the Barlow would sit there, and you could see the camera would sit there. So that's about 60 millimeters above the top of the Barlow, and that will more than likely give you probably 4.5 to 5x magnification. So if you're using a 3x Barlow, don't just automatically think that that is the amount of magnification you are getting, especially if you're using an ADC. They really are worlds apart, and I can show you how to calculate your magnification. And I'll do that at the end of we'll put that right at the end of the video. Or you can see me do it on my Planetary Imaging 101 video from a couple of weeks ago, and just have a look at that one. But again, Tele Vue Barlow, quite a good item, quite expensive. The Celestron, the XL 3X, friends of mine use that. Again, a very, very good Barlow. With the ZWO ADC, that works out to be about 4.6 or 4.7x. So if you put that on there, and then you put your Player One camera on top, you're no longer looking at 3x. But for a lot of people, around the f4 mark with their telescopes, that's probably a pretty good sweet spot. And we can talk about that too, the 5 and 7x rule. But again, this one, I haven't used it for a long time. Doesn't mean it's not good. Just didn't really suit. When we start talking about ADCs and that, it turns into such a big magnification. And I do like, as you can tell, I do like the stability of the 2-inch barrel it gives you, and rather than the, I don't think there's much variation with it, just a bit of my mindset. So, Tele Vue Barlow, yeah, it's good. Understand you're probably going to get a lot more magnification than you really want. Now this one is the Celestron 2-inch 2.5x Barlow, and I got it for $99 on a sale years ago, 99 Australian dollars. So about £10, just joking, £50. And they're up around $300. It was at their National Geographic store, but excellent Barlow. And for me, with my setup, I'm getting somewhere in the tune of 3.7x magnification when I use it in my image train. So 3.7x isn't enough for my 24 with the f3.3 mirror, but 3.7x is definitely enough for my 16 when casual looking, but it's more of a IR sampling size. So I really like that one and kept it around because it's cheap and good. I haven't really seen any issues with it while using it over the years. And another thing is, it can be a very good Barlow to get started with, or it used to be the one I used to use to get started with. So that one there, we just used to have my 4X Barlow, and that can be a bit tricky if you're up around 10,000 millimeters of focal length to get centered and all that. So if the planets, let's say Saturn, which is still quite high here, if it was 45 degrees or something like that, I might put this on and start shooting in IR before it sort of gets to our meridian, where I would change over to color because it was the highest possible point of the night. So the 2.5x or 3.7x was the better choice to get started in the night. Once you've got your eye in, got it centered and everything like that, you can move up to this one. So I really like this one, but it is a bit expensive unless you can get a sale on it. Like I said, $99 Australian. It was probably the bargain of all of my gear that I have, because I think they're about $300 or $400 or something along those lines. Okay, let's move into the Siebert Optic Barlows. Now these two are made by Harry Siebert, who's in America, the US, and he does his own stuff. Not sure where he gets his glass from, but I bought the 4X one maybe 3 years ago, and this one is a 2X one. Now the design of these is the optical cell is down the bottom, and these are just normal M48 spaces. And as we talked about, this is not a telecentric Barlow, meaning that it keeps its magnification regardless of how many millimeters or whatever you are away from the top of the Barlow. This will continue to increase magnification the further away you get it. So if you look here on it, and I'll show you, you can remove certain sections of the Barlow and that will reduce the magnification that you are currently getting. So if I was to put that back on there, I think that was about what it originally came at, and it was very close to 4x. Now I take that out of there, and this is, I'm pretty sure it's two 10 millimeter M48 spaces. And like this now, we get to, I think it was 10,200 millimeters, including this. So you can see again, I don't know why I put that back in. So that is my image train for when I'm at maximum focal length. So this is around about 5x. I think it's 4.9 at this. $5X for the 24, and it would be, this one would be pretty spot on for my 16, because my 16 is, my 16-inch Hubble Optics Dob is around f4.4. You times that by 5, your 20, your f22, too much. So I will probably take those spaces out, and that will be closer to the mark. I think if you're somewhere around f17, f18, you're pretty much perfectly in the sweet spot for your system. You can go higher depending on the sensor size, pixel ratio. For, let's say we're talking about 2.9 micron pixels. Okay, the f17 is perfect, f18 is perfect for 2.9 micron pixels. So Siebert Optics Barlow, they're really, really good. I really like them, and they're very, very flexible. Again, you have to do some calculations with it, and when you're imaging, you just take your planetary images into WinJupers and punch in the correct numbers, and it will tell you exactly how far you are, and then you can add or remove spaces, smaller ones, bigger ones, whatever you like, to reach the desired focal length. This one is my 2X version, which is sampled down for the IR, because as you go further up the IR, you lose sample rate. Now this one at the moment with this image train is 2.7x magnification. So I think it's about 4,700 millimeters on my 24, and would be close to 4,000, maybe 200, 300 on the 16. So very good for your 850 nanometer CH4. So really good for when you're shooting in IR. That's this one. Okay, we'll just put all these to the side. We'll just talk about finally my essentially ADC and manual filter wheel. I've got the manual filter wheel because I was sick of changing filters at night, dropping them, getting dust and crap on them, or whatever. So it's a 5-place manual filter wheel, and it does the job really, really well. Have a bit of a look here. So my first filter is luminance or UV-IR cut. Second filter is infrared. It's 610mm Barlow long pass, so it captures everything above 610mm. My third filter is the 850 nanometer infrared. So again, it's a long pass, so everything above 850 nanometers it captures. The fourth filter is CH4, and the fifth filter is actually UV. So I like having a bit of a play in UV, but I only sample it in the 2x size. It's you need a lot of light to. You can't get that light for at 4x or what have you. You can bin it, but it's always tricky. So they're the filters I keep in there. I do have some other filters, but I'm pretty happy with them just for my general imaging. If I go out there with a plan, I'll take out, I might even swap one over later on, you know, like probably UV is probably the toughest one there. It's a very large bandpass. It's right down to 300 nanometers, up to 400, and it's pretty tricky to get seeing that good all the way down to the bottom. So I probably bought that one a bit optimistically, let's say. Maybe a UV filter that starts at 350 up to 400. Probably a better decision. You'll get better results. As I said, 300 nanometer seeing is very, very tricky. Anyway, so, and my ZWO ADC, which have been pretty good. They're very, very cheap. I really have been looking for a Pierre Astro Mark III, but they're rare as hen's teeth. And I think there was one in the UK the other day, and it was like £400. So I've reached out to the company, can't pick one up, but what do? You just keep playing along. So, all right, guys, that's about it. The best camera for your money is the 585C. If I could only have one camera, it will be the 585 color. Any of the big manufacturers is good, but that is the best camera for us at the moment. Obviously, there are other cameras that if you don't only do planetary, maybe you do some solar imaging, the bigger pixels are very, very advantageous when you're doing solar imaging. So you might have a bit of a look at it there, but most people are just doing planetary and stuff like that. 2.9 micron pixel cameras, there's a lot to choose from, and they are all very good, but I feel that the Uranus set from Player One are probably the best, but you can't go wrong. 585 sensor, mono or color, cannot go wrong. There are lots of good Barlows, and while I'm very happy with these, the Siebert Optic ones are quite expensive, as are your Tele Vue ones. Probably Celestron XL Barlows are probably bang for your buck. They're probably the best. ADCs, there's an Omegon one, the ZWO ones, they're all very good. You really do need them, unless you're living on the equator, you really do need an ADC. All of the planets, most of the planets, so Saturn and Neptune for me are still around the 60-degree mark, but they are quickly going down. And all the other planets, like Jupiter for me is about 36 degrees or something like that. And so is Uranus. Mars will be back around soon, but the last time out it was around a 30-degree mark as well. So they're all in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, and the guys up there are reaping the rewards, but it won't be long and they'll be coming back. But Saturn's moving higher in the Northern Hemisphere and lower for us in the Southern Hemisphere for probably about another 10 years. So get out there and get Saturn while you can, because it's going to be a while before it's back up nice and high here. So ADC, you definitely need one. Okay guys, so this is everything I own. Planetary imaging. I don't really use this stuff here, but it's all very capable. I do use this stuff here, and at the moment I really enjoy using it, and it's good. So I can't see myself shifting. If I get a really good price on a Player One color, because it will be exactly swappable with this design, I probably would go for that. But as far as, it's probably not worth 600 bucks to sell this one and get one in its place. But that would be the ultimate, is a Uranus mono and a Uranus color in the Player One variants, and then you could shoot luminance in IR and help your color images. But a color Uranus is no slouch, and the vast majority of people would not know any different. It really is that good. So, all right guys, thanks for watching. Leave any comments down below if you want to see any more or ask any questions, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.